What's up guys, welcome to Portland, Oregon. I'm Justin Davis. Today we're going to do a review of ZETAZS' new Kickstarter project. This is a mini, sort of boosted board mini competitor, but it looks completely different from the boosted board. It's an original design, super lightweight, and very powerful in the street with 3 different modes on here, low, medium, and high. And the high gear is almost scary fast, but we're going to take it out on the street. Let's do some riding, and then we'll come back into my shop. I'll show you this a little closer up on the bench, and I'll show you what you get for your Kickstarter money.
All right, let's get to the meat of this review. The road test is the most crucial part, and also it's 4 speed modes, not 3, my mistake in the very beginning of this review. Where a board really shows its true nature is on the street, on the sidewalks. Portland, Oregon is super treacherous for e-boards because tons of bumps, rough concrete, huge jumps off the end of sidewalks. Nothing is very level in this town, so these boards really do take a beating. It's a great place to test one of these boards. I ride them all over Alberta Street, downtown, and around Portland, and it takes a severe beating. The cool thing about this board is it actually came back in one piece at my first crucial test out on the street, and I was kind of suspect for this board because it does look kind of shiny and nice, like some kind of an Apple product, and I was thinking that it might have some electronic issue or maybe something would short out. But so far, even in my rain testing, I've done some light riding in the rain with it, and it did hold up. But today's test was nice and sunny. You also got to watch those brakes because this little board is short in its length, and a little bit of hard brake will throw you off the board. But I have to say, it feels kind of surfy. It's more maneuverable than some of my long boards because it's shorter. And yeah, dogs don't like wheels, by the way. If you come up to a dog, make sure you kind of steer around the dog, especially on the sidewalk. They really hate these e-boards. But out in the open parking lots, really nice kind of surfy feel again on those trucks. You can loosen up or tighten those trucks depending on what kind of ride style you like. But I like it to be a little more surfy in my feeling with my e-boards, especially my longer boards. Just feels like you're surfing. Now this one has more of a bumpy ride because of the shorter wheelbase than some of the long boards. So if you have an area where you have smoother sidewalks and roads to ride on, it's just going to be a better ride for you. In the Portland area, it's more of a bumpy board versus some of my long boards. For a short commute, this one's fine. For your longer commutes, this one might not be the choice for you, but if you're just going short distances, this one's pretty portable and easy to just pick up and go in any cafe, bar, restaurant, whatever. No one really noticed this board at all, and it's light enough I think you could put it on the back of a backpack. So a pretty mostly a fun riding board and fairly convenient. So let's go back into the shop now. The street test was a success. Let's talk about it a little closer up.
Alright guys, welcome back into the shop after the skate test. I think this board did pretty well on the streets in Portland. One thing that I really like about this board is the fact that it is super portable compared to some of my longboards that I have. I have tons of longboards that companies have sent me from around the world, but this is actually one of the shortest and most portable boards that I've ridden so far. It has a decent range on here. The range is around 9 miles. It's advertised 9.3 miles, but I was getting around 8.5 miles with this. And around the top speed around 17 miles per hour, which I think is really good. For something this small, I don't really want to go that much faster than like 15 miles per hour. One thing that you have to realize about a smaller board versus a long board, if you're looking to buy an electric skateboard, this is some personal advice from a skater of like 20 years. The shorter the stance on the board means that your stance is going to be smaller and closer in. So your feet are going to be closer together. You don't have such a wide stance like you do on a longboard. So if you're not an experienced skater, just be careful with this board because you can get pitched off the front a lot easier on a shorter board than you can the longer ones because you have a much wider stance. So think about that on this type of board. That might be one con of this board, but the cons are outweighed with all the pros on this board. Mainly the price, $750 for the Boosted Board Mini S, and shorter range. And this one might be just a little bit slower than the Boosted Mini S, but you could almost buy 2 of these for the price of one Boosted Mini S. So yeah, and this one's a different design. It's probably a little more durable. It has alloy aluminum front to back. There is no wood on this entire board. So it also has a coating on here that is going to repel dirt, which is kind of cool. It has 85A wheels, which are pretty good on the street. They're not as big as some of the wheels that I have on my larger, longer longboards. You have around 800 watts of brushless in-motor power on the back wheels. We do have dual brushless motors on this board, which is great because going up inclines, I'm able to get up an incline of around 25% grade uphill. So I'm weigh around 150 pounds. Heavier riders on this board can probably safely go up 15% grade on this little mini board. Now, I really do like the design aspects of this board. I like the fact that they do give you an extra piece of custom grip tape with that ZETAZS logo on there. It has a grab handle here. It has a little trapdoor on this side that opens up and reveals the charge port. You get a charger in the box. This is your on-off button, which does have a blue LED on it. You get a little charge port right here for USB, which is great for charging your iPhone or your iPad on the road. This does also have 18650 packs inside here, so you can go to any vape shop and replace the batteries in this board. So after a year or two, if your batteries start to slow down and die, you can replace them. You can take the board apart yourself and put new batteries in this board, which I think is super cool. You don't have a proprietary battery system on the ZETAZS board. And a lot of people want to know if the wheels are replaceable. Yes, the wheels are replaceable. So if you use these down and they get kind of ground down close to the hub, you can take these off with an Allen wrench and you can replace them. So no big deal there. They just come right off and put new wheels back on. But the motors, again, they're in the back. So if you need to replace one of the wheels where the motor is inside the wheel, you can also do that too. And if you look at the remote, it's pretty much almost exactly the same as the boosted remote. There's a lot of remotes out there coming out of China right now that are very similar. They all seem to follow this format. You have a power button here. If you press it and hold it, it comes on. It has 4 different speed modes, all the way up to the Pro mode, which will take you up to 17 miles an hour. It also has an annoying version of reverse on here. So if you press that accidentally while you're riding, the board will come to a stop, and then if you're still trying to accelerate, it'll actually pitch you back the other direction, which has thrown me off of several different types of e-boards before. I wish they would take reverse off. I don't really need reverse on an electric skateboard, but standard acceleration up at the top with this little wheel. Forward is accelerate and back is to brake. You've got your finger hole here to hold on for your grip, which feels kind of natural in my hand. It is rechargeable with USB port in the bottom, pretty standard right there, and it does have a spot for a lanyard, but I did not get one in the box. So one thing to mention there, as far as ease of use, it's pretty standard remote, nothing special here for the design, but very similar to the boosted board design. And I want you guys to look around this board because I think the design is actually pretty cool. I love this aluminum design. It has sort of a bumper plate in the front. This is sort of a thick, hard rubber for when you hit curves. This is a super dense plastic up front and in the rear. I did hit some curbs with this, and I didn't come back with any cracks or anything in the front or the back. It looks like very standard skateboard trucks on the bottom too as well. They almost look like independent trucks underneath here. Really solid metal. You can see that it has very standard risers on the inside in here. You look just inside here. This is very similar to traditional skateboard risers, which I think is kind of cool. You can almost go to a skate shop to replace those if they got worn out. On the bottom, they also have sort of a kick plate bumper over top of each truck right here. I've got a couple scuffs here, front and back, but really no super big damage. I didn't do a lot of curb hopping with this board. You probably could. They have their ZETAZS logo in the middle here, the Night Pro e-skateboard, which I think is super cool. Li-ion packs inside, 36 volt for 4300 milliamp per hour, and they got the grab handle here as well. And I love this sort of space grade that they have on the side here. Very similar to Apple iPhone color. But really cool looking design. I think this is probably one of the cooler looking e-boards out there, and one of the most original designs I think I've ever had on my channel. I really love the design. And aside from the cool design, well, the price is great. $390, I believe, on their Kickstarter is about half the price of any boosted mini board out there. You also have a second version of this. This is the standard version. You also have a Pro version, which is just a little bit longer. If you want a board that has a little bit wider stance than this one, you can do that. If you're brand new to e-skates, I would suggest getting a little bit longer version than this one. It looks almost identical to this, but it's just a little bit longer, which is going to widen your stance and make it a little safer for newer skaters. But if you're experienced, get the shorter version and you'll never look back with this board. Now if you look just below our trapdoor right here where the charge port is and the USB ports, there's a white strip that runs front to back. That's a blue recessed LED strip, and those are on both sides, so when you're riding it at night, people will see you coming. What I think is also kind of cool about this one is it IP54 waterproof certified. It has the 18650 Lions. They're inside their own compartment here, so when you're riding it in even like maybe a half inch of water, you're going to be able to go through puddles with this board, which is very different from any of the other e-boards that I have in my shop. And I have around 8 to 9 e-boards right now. I kind of lost count of how many I have. This is one of the first ones that I've seen come into my shop that's actually IP54 waterproof certified. Now what's also kind of cool about this board is it does say on their Kickstarter that it does have a 1-year warranty for parts and labor on there. So if you go on there at Kickstarter, you can go down to the very bottom of the screen and you should see the details on the 1-year warranty. Whether that's liable in the US or not, we'll have to email them and find out with that, but they do have some type of after sales service, which is huge for an e-board. If you have issues, they'll work with you. And this is the charger you get in the box. This is the US version. It has a little LED light right here, and it's pretty simple. It charges the board, all the batteries inside, in just under 2 hours, which is probably the quick charging board that I own right now. If I was to go out somewhere, I could sit at a coffee shop and have half a charge in this board by the time I have a cup of coffee and read a magazine. So pretty quick charge for this board. It has a 3-prong sort of barrel style plug that plugs into this port right here. It has a screw on option to keep it in place while you're charging, just next to the 26 amp fuse right here. Kind of cool because the Lions are replaceable in here, and it's a pretty quick charging board. It does charge at around 2.5 amps on this charger for the US version, which is a fairly good charge rate for this board. And also it does have overheat and overcharge protection, so if you leave this board on overnight, the board will actually stop the trickle charge and the board will stop charging and not damage your batteries, which is pretty cool. And one other thing that's super important when you're riding an electric skateboard is clearance from the ground to the bottom of your trucks. This has around 40 millimeters of clearance on the back and front trucks. The boosted boards actually have an even lower clearance. If you hit a rock or something going like 15 miles per hour, you got to be ready for that. It's one thing to think about. This board has more of an original skateboard type of clearance with those standard type of trucks in the very back and the front. So I think they have a pretty cool Kickstarter going here. You get a lot of stuff with the board. It charges in under 2 hours, has a decent range and mile per hour speed. It has pretty good power at 800 watt. The larger version of this board is going to get you around 900 watts of power. Inline brushless motors are a lot less to deal with. You don't have to replace belts and things like that. It has a very similar controller to the boosted Mini S board. It's almost exactly the same, 4 different speed modes, which is kind of cool, and it goes fast enough to actually scare you. The braking is decent, very similar to a lot of other skateboards out there. You have to be careful with the braking and just pull back slightly on this remote to brake. Don't just crank it back because it'll actually pitch you off the board, and that's true for most electric skateboards out there. But I also like the fact that this one charges under 2 hours, which is really, really nice. One of the fastest quick charge boards that I own right now. And the fact that they gave us an extra piece of grip tape is cool, so I gotta say thumbs up to ZETAZS for that, because once this one wears out, I can replace it with a brand new one, and it is kind of its own custom thing here. You can also hop on Amazon and grab some funky grip tape to throw on there if you wanted to. But what's nice about this grip tape, some of the other grip tape that I've gotten out of China is really overly coarse. It will actually take the skin off my fingers when I pick it up. So these boards can be pretty heavy, especially the long boards. And this is actually like skateboard grip tape versus something I'm going to sand down my bench with. So I think the board is a decent, safe bet for anyone that wants to back it on Kickstarter. I have had the board, like I said, for over 4 months now, and it's still performing the way it should after a long amount of ride and use on the Portland streets. It's pretty bumpy out there, and I expect if it had any electronic problems that it would be showing them by now. I think it would be safe to grab one of these, ride it, and have some fun with it. It's pretty durable. It's kind of a conversation piece when you take it around town. When people see it, you carry it into a store, they always make comments on this board. I get a lot of comments on the street from different people, especially for how small it is. It's really easy to carry around. You could probably even strap this to the back of a backpack because it's just under 10 pounds, which is kind of a lightweight compared to some of the other electric longboards that I have in the 40 pounds range. So super lightweight, scary fast, and charges quick and a lot of fun to ride. But thanks again for watching my review of the ZETAZS Kickstarter project. You can check them out at the link below. Give them some support, maybe some comments and some love on Facebook as well. I'm Justin Davis, guys. This has been another eBoard review. I appreciate you guys watching the channel. Please do click the subscribe and notification bell down bottom, and I will bring you more awesome reviews. Take care, guys. Happy skating. I'll see you on the next one.